The quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Aren't you just hoping to hear that just one more time? I'm sure you were, because given the fact that you probably heard it a number of times in class, just one more time would make it fun. Well, today we're going to just take some time and do some examples. I'm not going to really teach you anything more about the quadratic formula. There's nothing more really to add to what we did today in class. All I want to do is use this particular video to simply do a couple more examples. So if you need extra help, this is just a great way. The first couple of things I want to point out. Remember, a quadratic equation is written as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And so what we basically are doing is we are utilizing the coefficients a, b, and c as an alternative to factoring. There are times where you cannot factor, and so we have to use the quadratic formula. If at all possible, I'd like you to try and factor, because it certainly is far faster and less likely to make mistakes, believe it or not. So looking at this first example, you see we have x squared plus 6x equals 0. So what many people like to do is they like to write out what does a equal, what does b equal, and what does c equal. For no other reason than just clarity, you can do that. I will say, remember, we're trying to do as much in our head as possible and trying to avoid showing as much work as possible in this class. We have 2 minutes a question. We've got to get right to the work. So to take the time to do this really just, well, I hate to say, but it wastes time. But let's just do that for practice sake for right now, and hopefully once we get really well versed at this, then we won't need to do that. A is the coefficient next to x squared, and of course in this case is 1. B is the term that's next to x to the first power, or just plain x. And you'll notice there isn't one of those terms. So what does that mean B is? Great. And then C is the constant, or the number that's all by itself, not with an x at all, and of course in this case is 6. So when I do the quadratic formula, I'm going to go x equals negative b, and I'll even write this out, although I wouldn't if this was my own work, plus or minus the square root of b squared, or 0 squared, minus 4ac all over 2a, which is 1. And then we simplify it. From here on, this is really just algebra. So negative 0 is 0. We can leave that there if you really need to. Square root. 0 squared, of course, is 0. Minus 4 times 1. Hopefully you got that that's negative 24 all over 2. Again, I'm going to just kind of quickly go through this here. We have negative 24 over 2. All right, we've got to simplify that radical. So if we need to, just as a little scrap paper here, square root of 24, I'm going to avoid the fact that it's a negative. We hopefully recognize at this point that that negative simply means that there will be an I in front of this. So hopefully that's pretty certain at this point. All right, 24. If I'm doing the perfect square method, the first thing I'm looking for is the largest perfect square that can go into this, which it absolutely happens to be, 4. But let's just say we don't do that method. Let's just say it's 8 times 3. That's all we could come up with. 3 we can't break down anymore. 8, we have 4 times 2. 2 was done. 4 is 2 times 2. Now we're just looking for pairs. There's a pair of 2s. That means 2 can come outside. 2 times 3 stays inside, and you're left with 2 root 6. So what does that mean? That means we have plus or minus 2i root 6 over 2. The 2's can divide, leaving me with plus or minus I root 6. And that would be your answer for that first one. Okay, excellent. Let's go ahead and do the next one. X squared plus 7x plus 11. Great. A is what? 1. Good. What's B? 7. Great. And C? 11. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so from here on, what you need to do is simplify. So I have negative 7 plus or minus. I have 49 minus 44 over 2. So I have negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 5 over 2. Remember, and although I'm not showing this each time, what that basically means is there are two answers. There is negative 7 plus the square root of 5 divided by 2. That's 1x. And the other is negative 7 minus the square root of 5 over 2, which is x. Okay, good. All right, the last example I want to do with you today, just as a chance to, again, see another one. Let's just signify what A, B, and C is. And what would be a good idea at this point is for you to pause the video and to go ahead and do this on your own. Signify what's A, B, and C, and then go ahead and do this one on your own, and then check to see if we get the same answer. That'd be a great approach at this point. So A is 1, B is 3, and C is negative 1. So x equals negative b, that negative 3, plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so we have negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 4 over 2. And so I have negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 13 all over 2. Notice that over 2. That line extends through the whole thing. It is not just under the radical sign or just under the negative b part. It is over the whole thing. So make sure that that is done on yours. I will be looking for that. Okay, good luck on the examples. I'm sure we'll be doing more of these tomorrow. So good luck.